skirt, cauliflower. I got some mushrooms in there, and there's an eggplant down the bottom. I made breakfast of 4 egg whites and some frozen mixed berries. A YouTube disclaimer that I'm happy with my body, I'm fine with my body, and if people are larger, that's, you know, their body shape is their body shape. But when you're insulin resistant or diabetic, when you carry excess body weight, you're very highly susceptible to to heart disease and strokes and all kinds of other health conditions. It's very important for women to have regular periods, because the periods actually make you keep your bones nice and strong. So women who don't get their periods are very, very highly susceptible to osteoporosis at an earlier age than other women. So this is not just about me going, oh, you know, I'm unhappy with my body, because there are lots of women who would love to have my size of body. It's about my overall health and preventing diseases later on in life in the future. So my little sister also said that I've lost weight as well, which is awesome. My appetite is really, really low right now, and I do believe it is because I have been taking the Trulicity, which is a peptide resistant in everyone's small intestine. Just with people with insulin resistance and PCOS and type 2 diabetes, we need a little booster of it. So my endocrinologist had given me Trulicity to try, and I absolutely love it. I did my last pen of it last week, and people are saying, oh, you know how much I've lost weight. And if you have any of these conditions, they're always about encouraging you to lose weight and maintain your weight and just lose weight, because it's not like encouraging an eating disorder or anorexia or anything like that. Back on the topic of insulin resistance, there is a swimmer, and if you don't know who this swimmer is, she's like an Australian icon. Her name is Liesl Jones, and she's an Olympic world record holder. She's just like, you'd have to look her up, Liesl Jones. Anyway, since retiring from the sport, now she's a TV presenter. She has gained a lot of weight. Now, YouTube disclaimer again, people are fine with their weight and everything like that, but what I do know, and I'm in no way I don't know her medical history, I don't know anything about her, but what I'm going to say is a statistic-based thing based on insulin resistance and PCOS, because insulin resistance is really, really high in athletes. And when athletes retire from the sport, because when you're a competitive athlete, you're training constantly, like so often, on such a regular basis. You have a dietitian, you have your coaches. In order to maintain a certain body ratio of your muscle mass, fluid, everything is actually prescribed to you. So the dietitians that are prescribed and the coach really take care of your overall health. And when a lot of the athletes retire from their sport, they can't eat the same way because they're not training the same way. They often become more stagnant. A lot of the women then retire and start families, which is another thing. So a lot of the people, the athletes, when they retire, the onset of insulin resistance starts to display the onset of, the symptoms such as like the very big weight gain, diabetes, the depression. Liesl Jones is very, very public about when she retired from competitive swimming of her onset with depression. Now, I know from myself is when I stopped competing, that, obviously these were the times when I started to develop all of the weight, the hair, the acne, the depression, everything else that goes along. Now, the reason why a lot of athletes do have insulin resistance is not that the sport and competing gave them that. It's because having insulin resistance made them the amazing athletes that they are. Why? Because when you have insulin resistance, you have higher levels of androgens. Now, people who are athletes or aspiring athletes actually do take supplements to try and elevate their androgens, in particular if they're women, because for elevated androgens, that's what causes muscle growth. That's what causes you want to compete and you fast, and that just really like, attitude. So those who have this gene, and it is a gene, do have elevated levels of androgens. Now, insulin resistance can also cause polycystic ovarian syndrome in women. Some of the symptoms of polycystic ovarian syndrome in women is 12 or more follicles of immature follicles on the ovaries which never for like one never does it. They never develop into a fully mature egg that releases. So you can have infertility issues or just an inability to fall pregnant because the eggs are not maturing in order to releasing. Also absent or very, very irregular menstrual cycles. You can have depression, you can have acne, weight gain, difficulties losing and maintaining your weight, depression, excess body hair, thinning hair on the head, and these are just some of. You can also have darkening skin underneath the eyes and darkening patches on your neck and skin tags as well. Now, also what is prevalent is a really, a much bigger temper, and this is because of the elevated androgens, abdominal elevated androgens that makes, in particular the women, exceptionally good athletes. I mean, it is a gift, and it is also a gift that, we can have like, lovely long eyelashes, which everyone else would really, really want. And a lot of other women would love to be able to gain muscle mass as easily as what we do. But, let's face it, unless you have this condition, your androgen levels and your testosterone levels are too far negligible that unless you're really taking supplementation to increase your testosterone levels, such as testosterone boosters and estrogen blockers, which, by the way, YouTube disclaimer, I'm actually telling you not to take those at all. I would never recommend any woman ever play with her hormones in that way. But that's the kind of thing that most women have to do in order to get the muscles like at that bodybuilder level, unless you have insulin resistance, because you have those levels anyway. And generally women who have this, like myself, at some point in their life have taken androgen androgen reducers such as spironolactone, which actually reduces the androgens in the body, because that's what we have to do in order to reduce the other symptoms. So definitely, girls, do not ever take from your coaches testosterone boosters and estrogen blockers, because that will give you adverse side effects such, as you don't want that. Are the muscle dietary aspect as well for a woman to be able to gain muscles, unless she has this in her, is going to be really, really challenging. Like, it's a consistent of 6 to 7 meals per day consisting of high levels of protein, carbohydrates and fats to overfeed the muscles. So you really need to do all of this under very, 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 very strict care, because you're also going to gain body fat, and then you need to strip the body fat back later without depleting the muscle stores, which actually happens whenever someone tries to lose weight, is you also deplete your muscle stores, because your muscle will burn before your fat burns, by the way, in case you didn't know. So my particular thing with this is that, Liesl Jones has recently done a campaign with Weight Watchers, and I believe, I'm not too sure, maybe she has done more than one campaign with Weight Watchers, but it is very, very common with athletes. Any of your symptoms that I have mentioned before, it's a very, 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 very misdiagnosed condition. In fact, it can take up 3 or more specialists in order to diagnose it. You need to go and see an endocrinologist. I'll put the name in here, right here. And you need to get one of these. It's called a fasted glucose tolerance test. Now, do not see your GP about this, although you will need to see your GP for the referral, but do not see a gynecologist for polycystic ovarian syndrome. A gynecologist is not a specialist in this area, because the precursor of PCOS is insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is a hormonal issue that affects men and women, who is treated and diagnosed by an endocrinologist. Gynecologists, it's not their speciality, okay? So that's the number one mistake that I made when I was, what's going on with my body and what was all that. Whereas if I had the endocrinologist that I've had now, the 2, that pretty much I won't say saved my life, but really saved my life and made me work out everything. If I had seen them in my teens and knew exactly what all of this was, then it would have saved me a lot of problems with the misdiagnosis and the mistreatment for all of that time. So there's also, when you can't just be on the metformin, which is the most prescribed treatment for it, and metformin is very, 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 very safe. It should be in the water for everybody, because this gene is so common that when you're taking the metformin, you need to also watch your B12 stores, because metformin, as the miracle drug that it is, and it's the safest drug in the world, it's safer than paracetamol, it can deplete your B12 stores, and B12 stores are very responsible for your energy. So if you are prescribed metformin, make sure that you're regularly checking your B12 stores, because you need to then take I get a B12 injection every 3 months. There's also a Bioceuticals B12 spray that you can use under the tongue, which I'm going to trial out soon. I'm going to trial it out and monitor, but even when I get my B12 injection, my B12 levels are so high, and then it depletes so quickly because I'm on 2 grams of metformin extended release per day. Safest drug in the world. Everyone should be given it. It should be in the water for everyone to use because this is how common this condition is. If you prevent it and the early onset, then you will prevent type 2 diabetes and heart attacks and strokes and everything else like that. So I'm going to start detoxing very soon to flush a lot of toxins out of my body. And I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs. My thing is coffee, which I've now cut back to 1 a day, which is really tough at the moment, but I know if I can get through this first week, it's going to be a lot easier. So I am going to now, and when I start to cut out dairy, I'm thinking, what am I going to use as substitutes? The pea protein is okay, but then I also realized I'm going to start using more bone broth. This is the one that I got from the health store. And it's like on this one particular one, it's full of amino acids, but this flavor is not flavored at all. So I could make this sweet or I could make it savory. So I could even use this as a protein substitute in my protein shakes and my blenders. I don't know, I've never done this before. I've never made a smoothie with bone broth. Now it is high in sodium, like for example, 1 10-gram serving has 466 milligrams of sodium, which is quite, I mean, I probably wouldn't have this like more than once or twice a day like once a day is fine. But even if I was to make a, you know, vegetables and heap of vegetables with all those riboflavonoids and antioxidants and vitamin C and all those nutrients that vegetables have, if I was to put some of that in it, it would like just add so many more amino acids, because when you cook meat, you lose a lot of the protein and the nutrients in that in the cooking process. And if you cook meat or eggs or anything at a too high a temperature, if it's too hot, you're just going to deplete a lot of the vitamins, and also you're going to deplete a lot of the protein in it as well, which is really not good because you need the protein for your muscle and just everything in your body, like your hair, your skin. We are all like pretty much water, protein and amino acids, and then a few other things in there, but that's pretty much what we are. So it's really important to try and retain that protein. So I'm going to do my little experiment probably later and just do like put a little bit of bone broth in there and make my smoothie, because actually I'm in total belief that that might even taste a lot better than that unflavored pea protein. I just like, if anyone can recommend like a natural plant-based protein to me, and put the name in below, because I'm trying to find one that the flavoring is not an artificial flavoring, because a lot of them have artificial flavorings in there, which I'm trying to avoid because I'm going to be detoxing, you know, so I don't want any of those artificial flavorings, which is why I chose this one. It's a pea protein and it's unflavored, but you know what, I really just don't like the flavor of it all. What I also think that has made me lose weight is that I have cut out a lot of my cardio and replaced it with just you know, resistance training. So when you're resistance training, when you're squeezing the muscles, a lot of the insulin, which in insulin resistance, you have insulin, it doesn't not work properly in order to break down glycogen that is consumed. So when you're squeezing the muscles, you're releasing the insulin from the body. It's also increasing your serotonin and your endorphins. But when you're doing cardio, I'm all a big believer in both resistance training and cardio. When you do your cardio, if you're doing it at a really fast rate, such as very fast cardio, like running, for example, it does actually deplete your muscles. When you're doing it, when your heart rate is elevated way too high, you're going to deplete your muscles. With muscle increase, the benefits of muscle increase and weight resistance training is you're going to increase your bone density. You're going to release those hormones. With higher muscle, you're going to increase your muscle mass. So with an increased muscle mass, you're going to increase your metabolism, which means you can eat more. Win. With lower, you're also going to, you know, you can correct any postural conditions that you may have. Women to become that big bodybuilder size, it's really challenging. So don't ever think that as a woman that you're going to, you know, oh, I'm going to get really massive by lifting all these weights. No. However, if you're consistently just doing cardio and on the treadmill, what you're doing is depleting all your muscle stores, which means you're not going to have a very toned physique, right? If you want that really toned, nice physique, you need to be lifting weights. You need to be doing resistance training, okay? if you're completely just on the cardio and that treadmill or whatever, you're depleting your muscle stores, and you're going to be that term called skinny fat, and which is like a skinny version of fat. Your fat stores are going to be higher, but you're going to look thinner, and you're just not going to have much of a tone. Later on in life, you know, things might just start to slag. YouTube disclaimer, if you're fine with that, you're fine with that. But, you know, you also are going to have a higher risk of osteoporosis if your bone density is not at an adequate level. So, you know, I mean, if you really want that toned physique, then you got to lift the weights, girls. Cardio is good if it's going to be a gentle cardio and it's not going to elevate your heart rate too high. It's also beneficial first thing of the morning on a fasted stomach because it does activate your metabolism. So if you were to do 30 minutes of cardio, gentle cardio, slow bike ride, slow treadmill, of a morning fasted, it will activate your metabolism, so therefore your metabolism is burning throughout the rest of the day for the 24 hours. If you're going to go for a run and you're just constantly running, all you're doing is just depleting your muscle stores. The same principle applies if you're starving yourself and you're not eating, is your muscle will burn before your fat burns. So you do not want to burn your muscle, because your muscle is your energy, your muscle is your metabolism, your muscle supports your posture, your muscle, like everything. It's where all the hormones, you know, it's where hormones store, and you do not want to do that. So I recommend really, you know, speaking to your PT and really getting into like a balanced routine. HIIT is really beneficial as well, because you're getting a mixture of resistance and cardio in there as well. And the heart rate can go up and then down and then up and then down and up and down. And it is also very, very beneficial for losing weight, for fat loss. So I'm about to go down to the gym and I'm going to do the challenge of the month. The challenge of the month this time is burpees. And you know what? I hate burpees. I think that if anyone likes burpees, I don't know anyone that likes burpees. I've done burpees once in my life, and that was not by choice. That was because when I was becoming a PT, it was in some of the curriculum that we had to do these burpees while we were out of college, and that's how I came to do burpees. But I never do burpees. I didn't do burpees before that. I don't do burpees after that. But the challenge of the month today is burpees. And if you are the winner of the challenge of the month, you get a free month's membership, you get all these goodies. Rose decides the challenge of the month. Sean never, ever put burpees in the challenge, from what I believe. Rose has put burpees in there, but so I think that Rose should really be doing the burpees. Admittedly, guys, my efforts with the burpees were absolutely pathetic. I did 5. So I'm not going to show you what that happened. Give me a subscribe or a like. It really, really supports my channels. Catch yas!